see you. Hi. Sorry about that. I'll start over. My name is Lauren Atkins. I'm the founder of NYC Web Fest. Welcome to our eighth annual day or eighth annual year and day number 2 of the festival. Special shout out to Danny and Josiane, who are backstage, who are doing back-to-back panels with us today. They just were on the Canadian Creators panel. I grew up in Toronto, so I felt especially connected to that crew. And some of the filmmakers in that panel have been supporting NYC Web Fest for a long time. I'm especially grateful for today because it's the first time we've had a panel like this, either in person or online. This is our second time doing the festival virtually, where we have nominated actors with their directors as well. Usually when there are actors speaking at the festival, they also happen to create the project. So I'm especially excited for this one. It's going to be a full stage. So when our moderator, Mel, comes on, I will have to go off so that there's enough space for all of us. Shout out to everybody that is joining in today from around the world. And for those of you who missed any panels this morning, we had an awesome pitching workshop with Jamie Monahan. It was very, very informative. And you have the All Access Pass. It is recorded, so I can send it to you. But it's really, really, really informative. And so she was very good there. Also, yesterday, we had another panel with the founder of Indavo Media, who is hosting this year's festival. And he spoke a lot about content distribution and exciting things that they're doing with the company as well for independent creators to get their work out, whether it be live events or like this one. Obviously this is a live event that we're hosting on their platform, but also creators that want to have their own channels that have a bunch of different projects, and we may be working with them in the future. So we'll see what happens after this festival. And I am going to pull up Mel in a minute. Just give me 1 second. If one of you get booted out, because this is just how StreamYard works, it can only be 10 people, I will pull you right back in, okay? So don't be offended. We're not kicking you out. Okay, hold on. Sorry there, Josiane. Let me find Mel.
Hello, everyone. Hey, can you hear me? I can't hear.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay.
I was muted. I was trying to let you in and it kept freezing, so I apologize.
Okay, no
But I
worries. I'm so
will,
sorry. I'm so sorry
yeah,
for the
I'm so
lag.
sorry about that. It froze. No, I know it was lagging. So what I'm going to do is remove myself and start adding people in, and then I will let you guys begin. Sorry about that, you guys.
Okay. Hi, hello,
Hello.
Dave.
Hey, Mel.
Jasmina, hello. Cindy.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Matt. Holly, hello.
Hi.
Danny, hello. Kima, hello. Okay, is this everyone? Are we missing anyone? Oh, mute mics. Okay, well, everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome to the Actor and Director Dynamic Panel. I am so thrilled and excited to be here with all of you today for New York City Web Fest. My name is Melly Mel. I'm a creative artist, graphic designer, mompreneur, and I'm so thrilled to be with you all here to talk about not only your amazing projects that are in the festival, and, again, congratulations to all of you for being nominated. But I'm really excited to learn more about that relationship between actor and director and how each of you approach these projects, especially if you filmed them during COVID and during the pandemic and all of that. So I guess the way we'll start is we'll start with Dave. Let us know about you, your project, and we'll go roundhouse with introductions, and then we'll get more into the meat of the discussion.
Yeah, thanks, Mel, and everybody else. Great to see you. Yeah, so my project is Incompleteness, and it's a web series, obviously, and we've got one season we've completed, and yeah, it's about this guy who's kind of a middle-aged guy, and played by Matt Bailey here, who has got a pregnant wife on the way and a dead-end job, and he gets a cancer diagnosis, which uh, effectuates him going on a quest to self-realize himself by making a film about the meaning of life. And hijinks ensue from there. But that's the basic premise of it. So yeah, I mean, that's the background of the project as far as the log line. Do you want me to go into anything specifically, or just where do you want me to go from there?
Oh no, just introduction, and that was a good synopsis of
Okay.
your series. Matt, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I'm Matt Bailey. I play Alex in Incompleteness. Dave sort of gave you the gist. He's having a rough time, so what my character does is he tries to make a movie about the meaning of life while also leaving a video about his own life for his unborn child. So there's two sort of storylines going on, and it's very meta and sort of what is real. And Dave wrote a very cool project.
Awesome, awesome. And then Danny and Jasmina, I believe you two work together, right? You want to speak about your projects?
Yeah. I was the director of You Arling, the web series, and Jasmina played the main character, Iris. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let Jasmina speak. Or not.
I think we lost her. Okay, so for
Yeah.
now, we'll go ahead to Holly and Okima.
Hi. Hello Late with Holly Harper is a late night comedy talk show, and the amazing Okima T. Moore was my director.
Hi, I'm Okima. I was the director and showrunner for season 1 for Hello Late with Holly Harper.
Yes.
A late night talk show that includes celebrity interviews, musical parody, and really wild sketch, all completely written by Holly Harper, acted by Holly Harper, sung by Holly Harper. So the idea of this panel is awesome because literally, with the exception of, the crew, it was me and Holly.
Yeah.
We had some great people that kind of brought themselves in and helped us do this. But, in the trenches, it was me and Holly.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And because I was doing so much, I needed somebody who was really strong, somebody who was a showrunner, somebody who was a director, somebody who really had that guidance and that vision. And Okima Timor had it.
That's awesome. And I actually can't wait to get more into your relationship specifically because, Holly, you wear all the hats. And so it's interesting to see you in front of the camera, but also have a show that you're producing together. And just that relationship with you and Okima, I can't wait to dig a little bit more on it. Yeah. But Josiane and Cindy, we want to talk about your Hogtown.
Yes. Hi. Okay. I'm Josiane. I'm the director, writer, co-producer of Hogtown. Cindy played the main part in the series, and I'll let her introduce herself and tell a bit more about the story.
Yeah. I'm Cindy, and I play Manuela and Josiane's series. It's basically the story of a 16-year-old trying to save her home, and she's dealing with the world of adults, but we brought this perspective of understanding how the housing market works. And so that's basically what the series is about.
Awesome. So let me just start by saying that all of your submissions were amazing. I was blown away by all of them. The storytelling, just the way everything was filmed, was very, very, very impressive. And anyone can start. Any of the directors that want to jump in can start. But I'm curious to know, how did you come up with the idea for your series? And then when it comes to choosing your actor or actors, what is that process like for you as a director? And any director can start.
Okay, everybody's. So Holly and I are very different because she had already conceptualized the series, and knew that she would be the main actor. So once she had kind of conceptualized the series, she had pitched it to our distributor, Brick TV, which is a regional Emmy toting, because they've probably got about 20 plus Emmys under their belt across the board. But she had pitched it to Brick, and then she and I knew each other because she has a beautiful sketch comedy troupe here in New York that I've been a part of as an actor, because I'm also an actor, for years. So once she knew that I was interested, she came to me and was like, I want to do this. I had already done 3 other series with Brick that had done well. One went to Tribeca and some other places. So she came to me and was like, listen, let's do this together. And so she was already the actor. She was already the creator, the writer. So she chose herself. But there is one sketch in each episode that needed another actor. And so she graciously brought me in to do that role with her in that one particular segment of the show. And we were able to get my big brother and mentor, Patrick Coker, to direct that, because I wanted to make sure that we had another eye. And he is the director. He's a director on and the showrunner for Tales on BET for season 3. So it was nice to have another even more developed director than myself when I had to be the actor too, but yet I was still running the show. So it was complicated, but we got it done.
Absolutely. And the thing is, she's not telling you, Okima is like that rare breed of a creative that is a showrunner and a director and a damn good actress. Do you know what I mean? Like I have high standards and I just won't put anybody in something, especially if they're opposite me. Like that sounds selfish, but it's like, no, you're not gonna be next to me looking crazy. And she's really good. She's really, really good. She plays that straight man, like, and it takes a lot to play a straight man in a comedy, to be blind to everything else and just have tunnel vision. And she does that. So she has a tunnel vision as an actress. Meanwhile, at the same time, being the showrunner and be like, oh my God, this is happening and that's happening, like all around. So she's absolutely amazing.
That's awesome. And, Holly, for a question I have for you is, I wonder for you what trust is like, because again, it's your show, it's your vision, it's kind of like your storytelling, but you leave the reins of like how it looks on the screen and how it's transitioning over to an audience, over to someone else. So did you feel that was a hard thing to do, or are you completely comfortable trusting someone to carry out your vision?
I trust people who can do it. I've been burnt before. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I burnt myself, like not gotten something done. You know what I mean? So I trust a lot less than I did 15 years ago. And I trust people when I see them going out in the world and making this happen and making that I'm like, okay, this is not just talk. This is their record. Like they have a pattern of completion. And you know what I mean? I trust people who have patterns of successful completion, which is something Okima Timur has.
Awesome. And Martin, hello, welcome.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I dropped in late. I was thrown out. Good to see you.
No worries. But feel free to introduce yourself and talk about your series Heat.
So I'm Martijn Winkler. I'm from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. My show is called Heat, which is a climate change thriller. Features an extensive cast. We follow different characters in an urban environment while they're being hit by a heat wave, which becomes worse and worse. So we follow all these different stories throughout the series, which some interconnect and some stay apart, and characters from all walks of life, different ages, different ethnicities, different backgrounds. And it's basically about how can we save our humanity in times of desperate need, which, well, unfortunately we are in right now with global warming. So I've worked with a tremendous cast of beginning actors to very experienced actors. So it was a joy to work with them all.
Awesome. And Jasmine, I know we lost you there for a few minutes. If you want to jump back in.
Yeah, I lost that. Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. My name's Jasmina. I play in Danny's series U-Hauling. I got in the project because we went to film school together. I was the camera operator on her last short film, and just really enjoyed watching their work. And I always thought that they were a really great writer, and read a first version of this series pretty early on and just really, fell in love with the writing. So it was a real joy to get onto the project and work with them. It was really amazing.
Oh, awesome. Amazing. All right. So I don't know if Dave or even Martin, if you would like to go ahead, but the question that I had for the directors is, how did you come up with the concept for your project? And then how do you go about thinking about what kind of actors you want involved in your project?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. This is my first series. Before this, I had written and directed 3 features and 7 short films. So I really wanted to try a different form. It went a lot longer than 90 minutes, which is what I was doing before in features. So I want something that's a pretty expansive theme. So I was really been fascinated with some pretty deep philosophical questions about the nature of the illusion of free will and the self and things like that, believe it or not, which is the overarching theme of this series. And I really spent a couple of years after my last feature and just wrote for 2 years all around this idea and kind of reverse engineered a story that could make sense of these kind of topics in a long format. And did that, and then I there's 6 real main characters, and I think Matt's probably the main character of the main characters. And from there, really just need somebody who could have a really broad range, because if you've seen any of the show, there's a lot of comedy and there's a lot of pretty deep, serious stuff too, believe it or not. So what was great about Matt, he probably is the most range of any actor I've worked with before, and that's worked out really well with this series, because it goes through a lot of different emotional highs and lows, both again very deeply comedic and also very serious at other times. And Matt's really worked well, because he can any given scene give you what you want from both the comedy side and the very poignant side. So that's why he's been such a great fit, and I think why the series has done so well.
That's amazing. And now, did you have like a casting for his character, or did you already know Matt and you knew that he was like the guy you wanted for your vision?
Yeah, I had done a filmmaking that I kind of already knew a lot of the cast except for this role, and I had never met Matt before the audition. And the producer of my last feature suggested to me, so there's this guy that moved in from New York, he's amazing, you got to talk to him. And I said, okay, let's do it, and brought Matt in and auditioned, and it was pretty clear at that point that he was the guy. So I had not met him before. I don't think, Matt, right? The audition, got to know each other pretty well since then. But yeah, I did not know Matt before then, but I was really blown away with what he brought to the character pretty immediately.
Wow, yeah, that was amazing. And Matt, your acting was really, really great. And I'm curious to know, how did you find out about this opportunity, and what made you want to be part of it?
I like Dave said, there was a producer that we both knew, a mutual friend, and he sort of turned me on to the idea that Dave was going to make a series out of as sort of like not really a sequel, but these sort of same characters, and just make it into a longer story. And something about just the themes and the ideas that Dave was exploring about truth and what's real and what we have control over and what we don't. It was just very apparent on the page to me as an actor, like what was going on. And I think that's just like, you either get it or you don't, So like when you're going into the audition, you either like understand what's going on in this world, in this guy's life. And for me, it was having young kids and like moving to a new place. And there was a lot going on in my own life that I just sort of felt lined up with this guy's character and could understand the highs and the lows. So it just sort of clicked for me. And then once I started talking with Dave, as he was expressing more of his concept and ideas, we just clicked right away. Like you really have to have that understanding with the director. I think like if you're on the same page from day one, it makes things so much easier, and you don't have to backpedal and run into problems later if you have that mutual understanding right up front.
Yes, absolutely. And I definitely, would definitely agree that having the director and actor relationship, like it does have to work. I mean, you're working together on a project. You probably spend lots and lots of hours together, or if you got to like redo lines or, do scenes over, like just having that relationship where it's like we're both focused on this project and both actor and director want it to work and be great, I think is a recipe for success for any kind of film project or anything of that nature. So I think that definitely translated in completeness for sure. So Josiane, we'll go to you with Hogtown. I was very impressed with Cindy. If I remember correctly from our chat at the Sistar Sip and Share, this was Cindy's first film, right? She's never acted before.
That is correct. Yes. So I think that regarding Hogtown, the idea came from the fact, well, the story talks about rent eviction and the housing crisis in Toronto and the pricing of housing, and it came from the fact that it was a constant conversation with people around me, a lot of people leaving the city, a lot of people having to move 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times from apartment to the next in the city, and it just became that thing that was always part of the conversation. And I just really wanted to tell a story, but I really wanted to tell the story through the eyes of kids and teenagers who are going through that, because they're also affected. But I wanted a character that was strong and really had that like idea of like she can fight that system. That was kind of the idea behind the story. And when we received my business partner and I, Anya, when we received Cindy's video, we were so excited. We had seen a lot of videos before. I remember I got so excited. I watched the tape. Then I stopped my husband, who was working from home. I was like, look at this. But he didn't get it. So I called Anya, and Anya watched the tape as well. And we were like, oh my God, it's great. It's her. I was so excited because she got everything from that character, because she's, you know, Manuela is sensitive, but she's funny and she's strong and she's like fights. She has all of that in her. And Cindy definitely got that from the start in the audition. So we had other people that we auditioned in the second role, but like in my heart, when I saw her, I was like, it's her. It just has to be her. Yeah.
That's amazing. And Cindy, what was that like for you? How did you find out about the project, and what drew you to want to be part of it?
So basically, I was on Facebook and I was looking through, you know, actor jobs. And I saw a casting director that I had met a few months prior, and she had Josiane's project. And it was the first time that I stumbled upon a project where it was like, I really connected with the character, and I felt like it was just me at 16 years old. And I was like, oh my God, this is my dream role. And I need to do this. I need to have it. And that's how I found the project. So.
Wow. But you had been acting for a while, or this was like your first acting ever?
I always wanted to be an actor, so I took acting class in high school and afterwards, but it was my first time speaking in front of a camera. Before that, I was just an extra on a bunch of TV shows and movies. So, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. You were amazing in Hogtown. I really enjoyed watching you, your mischievous ways, you know, as a teenager. Definitely translated very well. So that was a really awesome call. So Josiane, I know what you mean by I needed to have her because she was excellent. She was excellent. Okay, we'll move on to Danny. Tell us about U-hauling and how Jasmina became, you know, the main character for you in your project.
Yeah, so as Jasmina said, we met in film school, but what she didn't tell you is she also played in one of our classmates' movie, and that's when I found out that she was actually really good. So when I applied for the funding for U-hauling, I asked her to be my main character. So as I was writing the scripts later on, I was really like trying to tap into her energy, because she has like this very bubbly energy that I wanted to use. And like, I really wanted to have a character that you love to hate, or like hate to love in some way. And I think that she was just the right person for that, because yeah, Jas, you're really hard to hate, but like also really good at it. And it was really fun, like working together, since we knew each other a little bit. We had talks before and we agreed on some stuff, and even like discussed how it could go. So that all helped me to write a better story, I think.
That's amazing. And I do find those kind of relationships interesting also when it comes to creating. So sometimes you have, you know, a director who has a project and the director is seeking the talent for it, right? And then you have other directors where they already have the person they have in mind, and now it's about crafting the project around this person because they want it to come from this person. So I think that's amazing that you and Jasmina have that kind of relationship, and this is how it translated into your series U-hauling. And Jasmina, you were really great as well. That was awesome. Martin, I know you don't have like a guest actor with you, but tell us about, you know, casting for your project Heat. What was that like? Did you have people audition, or did you have someone in mind? Just tell us more about the talent search for your project.
Yeah, sure. First of all, Corinne, the actress, she's also nominated. She wanted to be here, but she's in theater because theaters have finally opened up here again. So all actors are Saturday night here, so they're playing, luckily, happily. Otherwise, she would have definitely been here. Well, as I said, it's quite a large group of actors we had, and all very different. So in terms of Corinne, she's a well-known established actress here in the Netherlands. So when I wrote the series, I had her in mind, actually, as playing a role. She's a very powerful feminist woman. Very, you know, she plays very strong characters. So I really would like to work with her on this role. So basically, I approached her, and I just wanted to have a chat and have coffee. That's what I usually like to do instead of auditions, to see if I can work with somebody, if we can communicate, if we can connect, if there's some kind of, you know, a feeling that we're on the same page, or that somebody can actually surprise me. And we really hit it off well, and she's a bit intimidating when you meet her the first time, which I liked, actually. She was, you know, immediately very critical about things in the script and about the ideas. So I thought, well, that's good for the role, because that's what I was looking for. And for other actors who are just, you know, young people in their teens playing, we really had to do almost street casting, and that finding people who are interesting. We organized rehearsals, improvisation clubs, just to see if there's interesting talent and how I could work with them or not. So in the end, when we were shooting, it's very different. If you're on the set, you have different actors from very different backgrounds and experiences, and, you know, everybody needs a different kind of approach. It can be quite, you know, difficult as a director to know how to approach each different actor, because they can be quite different. And at the same time, I think you can really use that to full effect in a scene to really create an interesting dynamic, to, you know, lose the words on the paper and have something, you know, appear on the set in front of the camera, which is a lot better than I could have thought of. And, you know, so that's, I love looking for that, for people to add creativity and process, and, you know, build it up to something which is a lot more than just somebody can think of typing in their computer alone somewhere. So yeah, maybe that's a bit of a description of how it went on our side.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I love that, you know, as a director, you give your actor the freedom kind of to, you know, if something doesn't feel right in a scene, or just them being able to have their input, creative input, yeah. Right? Because you know, most people usually think about the director as like, that's the boss, you know, whatever the director says, like, that's how it goes. And then you might have an actor that wants to say, hey, well, what if we try it this way? And curious for other directors on the panel, like, are you open to thinking a little bit outside the box of whatever you have already planned from actors, or do you like to stick to what you already have sort of pictured for your project?
I know for me, I'm a very collaborative creative. I believe that the creative process has to have some flex to it, especially because as directors, you hire, I mean, our situation was different, but not really, because as a director, you hire the actor, you hire for the choices that they've brought, as well as whatever the aesthetics may be, as well as, you know, how they may fit the mold of that character. But you bring an actor to the table because of the choices that they make. So I think that being in a position as a director to bring someone in for their choices and then not give them any opportunity or latitude to make those choices is really unfair. And it does a disservice to the creative process, to the morale of the person, as well as to the project itself. So like, though Holly made the project and created the project, it still was important for me to be able to direct her when she's doing her performances. But I also know that it can get a little conflated when you made the character. So in your head, you know what that character looks like, which was in Holly's position. But I'm looking at it from the idea of the outside looking in. So while I know that Holly has created these different characters, as the director, it's still my job to say, but is this going to catch the audience? She is a phenomenal dynamic talent when it comes to comedic timing and comedic anything. Like, comedy is in her flipping veins. I promise. Like, comedy, like her ribosomes are whatever, C for comedy. Like, that's how she's built. But as a director, she trusted me to be able to say, you know what, Holly, you know what, land this here. The timing is on you, but this is the reason. So I think that, you know, it's important. And as an actor, I always try to stress, if you have an alternative to something that your director is giving to you, your approach is what will get you the success of being able to do it or not, 90% of the time. how you come to your director with that idea, when you come to your director with that idea. If they're working with another actor, it is never your job to give notes to another actor as an actor. It is never your job to give input as an actor to another actor, especially when they're getting directions from the director. But like on downtime or during rehearsal, or if you have something in your head, give it to that director at that time with the reasoning behind it. Or if y'all have that shorthand, you give them that good, just trust me, let's try it. And you'll get the latitude that you're looking for because of how you've approached it. It wasn't with an I know everything. Because I mean, I'm sure Denzel still has to check in when he brings something to the table with Scorsese or whomever he's working with, right? Like, it's Denzel, but he's still an actor in this moment. So the lanes still need to be defined unless you have a shorthand. And then it's like, just trust me. And if they trust you, then they will. But I really think it's important for there to be an idea and a heart of collaboration in majority of what we're doing, because it is a group project. Like your film is the best group project or the worst group project that you've ever participated in. And everybody has to bring their part to the table, but you got to have a little bit of latitude, which is why you have to have a plan. Because you can't deviate if you don't have a plan to deviate from. If outside of that is chaos.
Absolutely. And I think you nailed it right on the head. It's a collaborative thing, right? So even if the project came from a few masterminds, right? Director, screenwriter, or whoever, but the whole thing from beginning to end down to, when it gets edited down, it's every person plays a big part in the final product, right? So I think collaboration is definitely like the key word when it comes to any kind of film project, for sure. So that's awesome. And Holly is definitely hilarious.
Oh my God. You almost made me cry, girl. I was like, is she talking about me? What? Oh my God, who's hearing this? No, but like Okima is serious. She's serious and she's right. Like the project in your mind is not what's on the page, and then what gets first, and then what gets shot, and then what gets edited. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you gotta trust the creativity, the creative process. You have to trust the process, and that's something I really learned over the years, that you have to trust the process. You have to trust the process, but more so, you have to trust the people that are around you, because they're seeing things that you don't see. They're seeing things that you don't see, and if you chose the right person, they're just trying to make the project better, what they're there to do. So listen to them, because you don't want to pay for that because you didn't want to listen to somebody. You don't want to do that.
Right. I think that's gems right there for sure. So this question is for the actors. I'm curious to know, what was your experience on set, and maybe share like a favorite memory of working directly with the director on these projects. And anyone can start.
I'll jump in. Working with Dave was very, when you're dealing with sensitive material, there's a lot of fun and laughs and stuff. But when we're getting into the deeper dramatic things, the more you can create an environment as a director to make like a safe, supportive environment for whatever the actor has to go through. Dave did that so well. Like, there were limited people in the room. It was almost like, just having coffee by the fire. Like, you sit down at the table and you're like, this is what we're going to do. How do you feel about that? Do you have any questions? And then it's just about like letting it breathe and like giving the actor whatever they need to really like sink into it and make it real. And what Dave did that really helped was just like give me, if I needed a moment to walk around, or if I needed a moment to just like sit there and read over the lines again, or look at pictures of my kids on my phone, like whatever I needed to do in that moment to like put me in the right place, just creating that environment where I wasn't feeling judged or rushed, or like, he gave me like everything that I felt I needed to just like feel it, for lack of a better word, and then like when you're ready, it's just like whenever you're ready, which is one of my favorite things that a lot of directors do. It's like, it's not this like, we're going to do it now. It's just like, camera's rolling, like whenever it feels right, that's when it's right. Do your thing. And Dave was really great about just being like so embracing of what we needed on set, and we really appreciated it. I know all of us did.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And you make a good point there about, when making a project, especially for the actors, right? Like you have to be in like the space of your character, right? You got to be in the headspace. And so sometimes it's not going to happen as soon as like camera's rolling, right? Like you might need like that moment. You might need to hear a certain song or something, or just to get in the mood to deliver those lines, to be in that scene. So I think directors giving actors the freedom to do that, I think it's amazing. I think that's great, because sometimes there could be, pressure to kind of get certain projects done. We're on a deadline, or whatever it is. But having like I like to call it like the human element of of creativity, right? That it's not always going to be there when it's needed. Sometimes you just have to kind of warm yourself up to it. So I think that was a really great point. And Dave, that's awesome that you gave Matt the freedom and the autonomy to do what he needs to do in order to get back in and deliver the lines. That's awesome. What about Cindy or Jasmina? Tell us about a favorite moment working with your director, or what was it like on set?
Cindy, you can go ahead.
Okay. For me, working on set with Josiane, it was like a dream coming true. I was literally like a kid on set. It felt like I still can't believe that it happened. It's like, it was like a dream. Everybody was so nice. The crew, everybody made me feel comfortable and welcome, and it was no pressure. It was just like family, basically. And I remember that one scene that we had to shoot, because in the show I had a little brother, and he's 4, and we had to shoot a scene where we were and I forgot what it's called, but it's like 2 beds, like one on top of another, and we're lying on the bed, and I was showing him pictures, and he's a kid basically, and he, sometimes he wanted to work and sometimes he wanted to play, and at that moment he wanted to play, and so we had to make believe like the play into like filming. So it was like playing with him while we were filming. And that moment, like Okima said, it's very much collaborative. So we're trying to find like the right timing, the things to say, and it's just like trust and everything. And that it was challenging, but it was fun. And right now, like that's my favorite memory. It changes all the time because I loved everything. But that was a very funny moment. And he said something like out of the blue that even made it more like, okay, we have to improv and like just go with it and keep rolling. So yeah, for me, that was a really funny and nice moment.
And that's actually a good point, because Josiane, you have Cindy, and then you did have the younger child, and so what would you say is like with the scenes with the child is planned versus we just have to go with it? I'm so curious to know.
I think that's a good question. To be honest, Jamal, who plays Liam, is an excellent actor. He made my life really, really easy because he was so good. He wasn't looking at the camera ever. I was saying in the previous panel that you just, it will get enrolled, and it was Liam when he was on set, and then when he left set, it was Jamal, and he really knew the difference. I think there's one moment. The moment that Cindy's talking about, there's a one sentence that wasn't part of the series that just came out of Jamal's mouth, and we just kept it because it was so in the moment. And Cindy's, at some point, she leaves the bedroom, and she's like, I'm coming back, and then he turns around and is like, are you going to the bathroom? And then I think we all hold our breath not to start laughing, and we ended up keeping it because it was just so natural and so cute. So there's a lot of moments. Obviously, there was some moment where it was very intense, but these small moments kind of made it so real. Like, at some point he's playing with Lego and he's just singing, and it wasn't part of the thing, but it just makes him even cuter, right? So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And then Jasmina, favorite moment on set
Yes.
or favorite thing about working with the director?
Well, working with Danny was an amazing experience just because we had that friendship like prior to shooting. So even reading the script, it's about a breakup. So I feel like Danny brought so much of themselves in the script, and then like as an actor, you kind of think back about like your own heartbreak and like what you can bring to the story. But like coming together, it just felt really strong. And I feel like knowing Danny really well, I kind of like I feel like the character was really like born of both of us, and it just felt like because the shoot was postponed a few times with COVID, so by the time that we were actually shooting, it just felt like so much joy. And I remember that because it was the first scene we shot was like the first scene of the series, and then the last, pretty much like the last scene we shot was the last moment of the series. And I remember like when we finished that last shot together, there was just so much joy and like gratitude to be able to be doing it together. And that was definitely like one of the highlights of the shooting experience, I would say.
That's awesome. Amazing. Amazing. So I'd like to ask the directors, as we're talking about.
Oh, wait, you didn't ask me. I didn't get to.
Oh,
I was like, no. I'm sorry.
Jump in, girl. Jump in.
No, I was just saying, my favorite moment of working with Okeem as a director was like two different moments. One, we did this segment. We were out in the street called Heather on the Street, where I was asking people off the street questions. And we're in Brooklyn, in New York. Like you don't know what you're gonna get, especially we were by, what was it, the LIR? Was it the LIR? What is that?
We were downtown Brooklyn. Brooklyn.
Yes. And so we were like, mixed bag. But I realized we got some really interesting people, and they were kind of crazy. But I realized with Okima, I was like, oh, this is best. This is the best thing because she's fearless, but with guardrails. Do you know what I mean? And like there were a couple of people we got where I was like, I don't know about this. But like, they were just 10 minutes to crazy. Not crazy, but you know what I mean? Just crazy enough to say something good, but not where we have to pick up the camera equipment and run. You know what I mean? Like I was like, this is great. She knows that just the right shade of crazy to get people. Which just comes from, I think, just growing up, in some interesting stuff, you know what I mean? But also when we were on set, when we were shooting like Perfect Moms, this is so ridiculous. As a director and as a showrunner, when she remembered my Spanx. That was really important to me. I mean, I know a lot of people like, but if you got a little paunchy poking out, it's kind of hard to keep your objective. And you know what I mean? This is an actor. It's kind of hard when you can feel it coming up on you. And my whole point is she just remembered everything. She remembered little details that would just make me feel better and just bring it full circle. And so it was just a wonderful experience to have somebody that was fearless with guardrails, but actually thoughtful, like thought about you. So that's it.
Not the Spanx, Holly.
I'm not ashamed. I wore 2 pairs of Spanx at a wedding one time. I'm not ashamed. You remembered that. And I was like, girlfriend, remember my Spanx.
I mean, she's a mom of 2. I'm not going to let her be in these streets not looking sexy and feeling sexy. So if I got to order some Spanx from my artist, then I'm going to order some Spanx from my artist.
Yes.
I'm just glad I got the size right.
But see, that's what I'm talking. That's real. That's looking out for each other, right? Like that's the collaborative. That's the I'm looking out for you, and I think that's great. I think that's great. Okay, so my question for the directors is, and it doesn't have to necessarily be this specific project in the New York City Web Fest, but just maybe any experience that you've had directing ever. Has there ever been a moment where you come to film and you're just not feeling it? You're just not, for whatever reason, like whatever you are hoping to get out of the day's filming is not happening. Like, how do you deal with those kind of days? And in what ways do you, how do you navigate the set when you're feeling that way?
I actually want to take this one real quick. We had gotten to set and we were supposed to. So, like I said, in our show, Holly does these musical parodies. That's one segment of the show where she, wears these wild costumes. One time it was like Marie Antoinette. Another time she was like her 11-year-old self. Like, it's wild. And so she's supposed to perform these on this platform. And we get to the studio, and the platform is the sorriest little thing you've ever seen. And Holly has like full on choreography. There's one that's very Tina Turner. And so she's doing all the, and I was like, she's going to fall off this thing. Like it was scuffed and like ugly and not sturdy. And I was like, and Holly was so upset. She saw this platform, like literally she's getting ready to cry. Her husband is one of the producers and he's like trying to console her in the corner. And I'm like, oh shit, what am I going to do about this platform? I'm trying to figure out, can we paint it? I'm like, no, because she has to move. And so I'm like deflated because I was feeling so good that she was feeling good about everything I had made happen. And, with the $5 and chewing gum that we had. And now we have this major performance space for all 4 episodes and it sucks. So I'm like, what can you do? What can you do? And I mean, I'm like, I come from guerrilla filmmaking, right? So I was like, we got to figure this out. So I get with the DP and the studio guys and I'm like, well, we got some uplights that we've borrowed. And like, what if we just do it on the floor? I know the floor is not pretty, but like, you're so done up. Who's looking at the floor? If they're looking at the floor, you're not doing your job. So like, and so we wind up fixing the quasars and pulling them up and the uplights. And we get some like raggedy, tatty fabric that's in the corner. We like billow it out. Everybody's coughing because it's like full of dust, but we make it work and we build this like lighting scheme off the curtain and she does it on the floor. And she comes back and she's looking at the lighting and she's smiling. I was like, good Lord. Okay, great. Whew, okay. Because if she's not comfortable, she can't do her job because sketch and that kind of comedy requires no inhibitions. She can't be uninhibited and goofy as they all get out if she's worried about falling off the platform and the platform is ugly. And so we had to figure it out. And, but I was like, I might just fail this test. I don't know. So for me, that was the day that I got to set and I got in a place where it was like, I can either feel defeated or figure it the heck out. And we don't have time or budget to shoot another day. So defeated can't happen. I had a PO get me caffeine and we figured it out.
Wow. These are the stories that I like to hear because, no project is ever going to be super smooth. You are going to hit those bumps in the road. You're going to have those times where you're like, wait, what is going on? And just trying to keep a level head for the sake of the project, but also for the sake of, the people on set and everyone else. Because again, like we were saying, it's collaborative, right? Okay, that's really funny. I'm curious to know, Dave, Martin, Danny, on the days that you're feeling funky.
Yeah, well, if Matt doesn't have a Spanx on handy, then we're in trouble. So I make sure those are right there. I always carry them with me in case.
I mean, Dave made me wear them today, so.
Yeah, just in case. Just in case. Yeah, I make everybody wear them. I mean, extras, gaffers, it's all Spanx. I'm wearing 3 right now. What was I going to say? So what I found in doing this for a fair amount of years now is that if a scene isn't coming together, if it's feeling stale, I mean, the thing I like to do, and the actors I've worked with always really liked it, is I do what I call actor takes. So we'll keep doing it until we get enough that if I had to, I also do the editing. I know I can make something that's not a total piece of shit out of it in the editing. Usually it's pretty good anyway. But if it's not coming to the level I'd want, I'll just say, let's do some actor takes. And I just tell the actors, forget the script, don't forget the story beats, but the words on the page, just, you usually run enough takes by then. They get the idea of the scene and what we're trying to get across. And then I'll just say, hit the beats, but use your own language. And a lot of times that's the stuff we end up using because it comes across the most natural. So it gets them out of their head, gets them out of trying to remember all the lines. I sometimes have, as Matt can attest, some very long stretches of dialogue that I think are, he's masterful at pulling off, but not all actors can do it. So it also gives him a break from trying to get every damn word that I thought of, in a row in the right sequence as he's laughing. So I'll just say, let's step back, actor takes, and they're all familiar with what I mean when I say that, and we'll just do it in their own language. And again, being the editor, those are usually the takes that we end up using at the end of the day are those versus the ones that I wrote down, had to try to make them do verbatim. So that's what I do when things are not coming together, besides Spanx.
Awesome.
What I usually, when I find when you're stuck in a scene or something's not working, you think when it's difficult, what I try to do is make it more difficult. You tend to think, let's make it easier, but I like to let's complicate it even more so that people, you're not, somehow you're in some kind of system of thinking and you can't get out of it. So if you just pull out the rug beneath everybody, and that can be anything. I can just say, well, we've got this shot reverse. We're not going to do that. We're going to do a one take thing, or we're going to do this completely different, and it really frees everything up. And it can go completely bad, but it was going bad anyway. But often it gives you like these tremendous gifts, which you never dare to think about, right? We had a scene with two characters. It was a love scene. It got intimate, and it was just not working. And I thought, well, let's play that you're not gonna. You have to stay apart 2 meters. You can't become physically intimate. That's like the opposite of what was actually happening. Really difficult, and that evolved into this tremendous scene, which was so much more exciting and thrilling than we thought of beforehand. So that's basically my recipe. Take it at your own risk, though, because it could go really wrong. But
that's a very interesting way, and I wonder, how did you come up with that? Like, where did you get that idea to make it more torturous in order to get like something out of it? I'm so curious.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that concept?
Well, because intimacy is about getting closer, and it's the first thing you think. Well, let's just get physically closer, then it's automatically intimate. That's not intimacy per se, right? That's like the easy route. Intimacy in terms of actors actually making contact or playing with that. That's where drama is, and that's where real intimacy is. So let's throw away the thing that's the easy way, which doesn't get you there, which is the physical intimacy part, and let's see what happens. So I always try to find what drama is conflict, right? So the more difficult you make yourself, that creates conflict, and actors love to hate it or hate to love it. I don't know, but and something can really happen. If you have, I like working with actors who like this, right? I mean, you have to work with people who really love to throw things out and try new things, and it requires flexibility on your actors. Also requires flexibility on the crew, right? I mean, if you have a director of photography, a really perfect shot, and your actor has to move exactly into the frame like so, and for the perfect light, well, you have to throw that out of the window. It has to be a lot more loose, but it tends to become more real because reality is messy and difficult. So throw that in your drama, on your set, and you might get something.
Wow, nice. Josiane or Danny?
I've been hesitating because I haven't had like a really bad day of shoot. I think I get on set and I'm just so happy to be there because it doesn't happen that often. So like whenever I get on set, I'm just, this is the day. It cannot go wrong because here we are and we're making a movie. But usually it will be something like getting overwhelmed by everything that happens, that you're running out of time, that you're not finding the right shot, or that like light doesn't fall right on the actors. I haven't really like had a bad moment acting, like directing actors wise. I think I'm just lucky, but usually I will just like, I have a really go with the flow attitude, so I just try to let it slide and like gain control of what I can and let go of the rest. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that there's been moments. There's always moment. I feel there where like shit hit the fan and you're freaking out inside, but you trying to hold it together and pretend that everything is fine. I think, but one of the things that I'm thinking about right now is we shot in Toronto. We were supposed to shot in the fall, and we were aiming at September, October, but we ended up shooting because of COVID and everything and time and whatever. We ended up shooting in November, December, which is the worst period to shoot in Canada because this temperature is always changing. So from one day it would be 14 degrees outside, and the next day it would be -2. And one of the first scene of the series in episode 1, we're shooting in this abandoned lot, which we were so excited to have found. It's a gem of like a place with graffitis everywhere, and it's old and it looks great. And I had like those crazy visions of the 3 main actors running from afar. It was beautiful in my head. And then we get there, and it's supposed to be it snowed the night before. So there's snow everywhere. But the rest of the filming, there's no snow. So it's not like, most people in Canada would be like, it's okay, but like, it doesn't make sense story-wise, because they cannot go from one day, like one scene, no snow, and the next scene with full of snow. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so like, establishing shots crapped, wide shots crapped. So what are we doing? And they were supposed to lay down on the floor with their books. And I was like, okay, this is not working at all. So I'm kind of freaked out, but actually it turned out really well because I kind of gathered with the 3 main actresses. So I was with Cindy, I was with Laurence, who played Kim, and Nam, who played Patrick. And I'm really into collaboration as well when we film and we work. So I was kind of like, okay, so this is not working. Let's think of a plan together because, we just need to make this happen. And, there's new things that kind of came out of that moment that weren't part of the script that I actually really love, that just happened because we had to think on our feet and be like, okay, what can they be doing instead of what they were initially supposed to be doing? And we did all close shots. So when you look at the episode, you don't know that there's snow, but we know that, the place was covered in snow. So that's kind of the thing that we, you just need to kind of figure it out and make the best out of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's a good point too, right? About like, what do they call that? Is it like the continuation, like making sure that everything makes sense, like from beginning to end? Yeah. You're like, there's no snow. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I can totally see that. And, having to make choices, with weather when you're filming outside, if you were expecting it to be a sunny day and then it's cloudy, or all of a sudden it starts to rain, like I can just imagine the magnitude of things that can go wrong on a day that you're hoping, we're going to get through this shot list today and here we go, and just making the best of it. So I think that's, yes, for sure. And then Holly, I actually have a question for you because I know you do the sketch comedy. Has there ever been a moment on set where okay, today we're shooting, but you just didn't feel like the comedy coming through on your end on a personal note? Like, have you ever felt like you're not feeling like the comedy today, but you got to get through?
Oh, wow. It's what's crazy is that comedy is always the most fun for me. Like that's like for me, it's like my children and comedy are like the best parts of my life. That's like what makes me very happy. But I mean, crazy enough, when we were shooting One of the Perfect Moms, this is so crazy. We were shooting One of the Perfect Moms. One of my characters was like vaping weed, like from a vape, you know what I mean? Like just vaping weed. And I was like, I can't vape weed. I can't do that. That's totally unprofessional. So my girlfriend was like, get a CBD, and I was like, I've never tried CBD. And she's like, just try it. It's harmless. You'll be fine. And so I was vaping the CBD oil. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, wow, I'm not okay. Like, like I'm not okay. Like, yeah, I was like, this is like, I could feel, you know what it was? It was like, I could feel my comedic timing slipping away. Like I could feel it slipping away. And I remember being like, I said something to Okima. I was like, this is like, it says CBD oil, but it's really affecting me. She's like, girl, like, what are you doing? I was like, I thought it was safe. You know what I mean? So like, I just thought, oh, whatever. I'll just feel relaxed. I don't know. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, that's a substance. That's real. And so just as a comedian, that was a very scary moment where I could feel it slipping away, you know?
But let me not let her disadvantage herself, because the character the character she played was supposed to be like this neglectful alcoholic mom.
Yeah.
Who's like, you know, I'm home, but they get in. Like
yeah, she's like, I always make it on the porch by 6. Like, right. I'm there. I'm a good mom.
So it's kind of like when you know you have to make a conference call and you've got 15% left in your battery. And I'm watching her battery go, but because I'm in the scene with her and because I didn't rest on my ego and got my mentor to direct that segment for us, I'm keeping with her. So like every time she drops a little bit, I'm picking it back up with her as the opposite for her. And Pat's just like, we just gonna go with it. We just like,
yeah.
But I could tell that she was getting afraid. So I had to make sure that I played extra straight man so that even the littlest extra oomph on her end worked. And the freaking thing turned out like Mandy was the best.
Yeah.
Because I'm so irked, like not Okima is irked, but like my character is so irked by how ridiculously sporadic this woman is that it just worked. So like, again, is that trust thing. It's that trust thing. And there was another time, Holly, where we were shooting something very, very comedic and she was dealing with a personal thing. And like, you would never know watching it, that she had like this whole personal moment in the midst of doing this, like, in the midst of like being Tina Turner. And like,
yeah. I cry in the bathroom. I'm a professional.
So even when she feels freaked out, I will say because of her ability to, because Holly does stand up, like she's an actual stand-up comedian. She's always on somebody's stage. So even in those moments, she just kind of is able to alley-oop to herself and still make the dunk. So like that, I love her so much and her talent for that, because it's hard to be funny when ain't nothing funny.
Thank you for saying that. But yeah, thank you. And I really appreciate that. And this, to me, that's just one of those moments where I realize, like, you know, when you talk to younger actors or younger creatives, it's like preparation is really everything, because you don't know what's going to happen at the last minute. So you have to do all that preparation leading up to it.
P.S. So now it's Spanx and weed that we've talked about. I just want to put that out. Like, thanks, Holly.
Okay, everyone. Well, it has been a pleasure speaking to all of you. Before we close out the panel, I do want to do like a roundhouse so everyone can say, but if you're a director or an actor, if you can share with us what is the best advice that you've ever received as an actor or as a director.
I can go first. I think it's not somebody that told me this directly. It's kind of just like looking at things and watching videos. But something I heard is just trying to find what is already inside of you and bring it to the character, not try to make a new character, because if you're chosen, it's because you already have something that is very similar or just like the character. So just try to like find that and use that in your advantage.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, that's kind of what I was going to say. It's someone famous said, like, you have to, like, you are enough. Everything that you need as an actor or at any job, really, like, it's all inside you. You just have to relax enough and be confident enough in yourself to let it out and like to let it shine and to let it show. And that could be a really hard process depending on what you're doing. But it's like, it's all in there. You just have to figure out a way to access it. And most of the time, instead of like pressing on it, what you need to do is like relax into it. And that can be a really hard thing to learn.
I can go on. I would say that the best advice I got was like work with people you like and that like you and that you trust and that trust you, because it's so hard when you get on set to like, you just need to trust the people you're working with and be sure that they're doing their things and that you don't have to watch everything for a director. I mean, because like if you only have to think about what you have to think about, then you're good. Yeah, it's when like the people around you do not trust you, then you've got problems.
Yeah, me bouncing off what Cindy and Matt said, it was kind of in a similar idea of what you think might be your shortcomings, or like what you think are your weaknesses are actually your strengths, because that's what makes you more like vulnerable, and like the things that you're like a bit embarrassed about yourself or like insecure are actually the things that if you like plug into and lean in will make you the most relatable and like the most human, and understand like that people can connect with you more. So to not to really honor your not your shortcomings, but your vulnerabilities and the things about yourself that make you insecure, like to really plug into that.
When I went to theater school for college, I had this professor. Her name is Dr. Bella Itkin. She's passed on now, but when I had her like years ago, she was in her early 80s. I mean, this woman lived forever. But I'll never forget, she used to tell us, and we used to laugh about it, but now I realize she was so right. She used to say, like, do you feel it in your sex? And we used to be like, ew. But she was like, no, you feel it in your sex. When you're approaching a character, you could feel it deep down below, because I sound so spooky foo-foo right now. But it's like, I've come to realize over the years that you feel it in your sex because a new character is being born. It's like you have to feel it really deep because it makes something new. It's not just you're mimicking something or you're creating something that was not there before. That's why you feel it in your sex. So.
And of course, I have the talent that just rounds out the entire convo, right? From Spanx to weed to sex. So for me, I think the best advice I ever got was do it afraid, but never in fear. If it scares you, it's the thing you're supposed to be doing. But if you are in fear of that thing, then you'll be so focused on the fear that you won't do it well. So do it afraid, because the only thing stronger than fear is hope. And if you're afraid, you're hoping to do well. You have the hope of doing well. You're going to push to do it. But if you're in fear, then hope can't live there.
Wow, that's deep, 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 deep.
I had to make up for sex. I love you, Holly.
That was real though. What?
No, I got that was deep too in all the ways.
So go ahead. Oh, Martin, go ahead. I'll go ahead.
No, I was going to say what somebody once told me. If you're a director on set, you are the one person who's the representative of the audience. Everybody is there for another role, right? But the director is like, I'm here as a director representing the audience. So, the audience doesn't get to speak, doesn't get to see the end result, but I'm here for that audience to make sure that what they're going to see in the end is interesting, is drama, is touching, is moving, is worthwhile. So that's the hardest part, I think, to be on set and see while it takes being done, to watch it with fresh eyes as if it's in the audience, and make sure that it's what the audience will get gripped on. So yeah, that's a big responsibility. That's why directing is really tough, I think, but it's also a privilege, I think, also, and terrific to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think most germane to this conversation, the thing I really learned as a writer-director, I mean, when I first got started, you write a character and you have your vision of it, and you know exactly how this character is, and you really get married to it. And my first film or two, when I was directing, I would give so many notes to actors because I kept trying to push them back to this exact person that I thought this character was. And you know, I realized after a few films that that is not a very effective way of directing, because I think, as some of the other actors have said, you bring your own self to it. What I really learned was, you know, to step back and not get married to that character that I thought of when I was writing of it, but the actor's interpretation of who that character is, and step back and let them have their own room to create that, where it's coming from a real place, which is their own life, all their experiences, versus me trying to tell them how to feel and act, which is once removed from that. So it's letting go of an actor, or letting go of a character that you, again, imagine when you're writing it, and letting it be this other person who's similar to that person, but not quite, and comes from a much more real place when the actor's allowed to just create that character themselves with little pushes here and there, but not a ton of notes after every damn take. It just becomes a much more real thing for me than trying to micromanage an actor to an exact ideal they can't visualize themselves. If that makes sense. So that's my big note on this whole conversation, actually.
Awesome. Josiane?
Yes, I feel like everything has been said, but I think for me, one of the advice I had that I really liked is the idea of knowing what I need as a director, and knowing what type of director I am, and embracing the type of directing that I need to do. I'm the type of person who needs a lot of preparation and be prepared and time to think. And I was not comfortable with that because at first, but now I'm totally comfortable with that idea that if I need 5 minutes to think, well, I need 5 minutes to think, and then I'll come back with the next step. And yeah, I think that was a really good kind of let go advice. For sense.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Dave, Cindy, Matt, Holly, Martin, Jasmina, Josiane, Okima, and Danny. Thank you so much for joining us. New York City Web Fest. This has been the Actor Director Dynamic panel. And for everyone who was watching, thank you for joining. And I wish you all the best at the awards ceremony. Congrats again for all your nominations on your amazing projects.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah, great.
Yes,
Talking to you guys.
congratulations.
Good job.